Okay, so we are now recording. Hi guys, this is Beau with Thrive RIA, and I'm in my house in Concord, and we got two guests here all the way in Jacksonville, Florida, Gonzalo and Dominic, and I'm going to let them kind of intro themselves, how they got started, and then how they partnered up, and give you a little bit of background on them, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Beau, man, I really appreciate you having us, man. We're super excited to be here. I've known you for a couple of years now, and just super excited to be able to do something like this with you. So basically, yeah, we're here in Jacksonville, Florida. My name is Gonzalo. Corzo is my business partner, Dominic, and we're the owners of Regency Litho Assets. We specialize in wholesaling investment properties. We work a lot with out-of-state investors. So can you see this little bubble of me and you on the top right in the presentation?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me close that out. All right, perfect. So who we are, we're basically a real estate investment company with our current primary focus on wholesaling. We purchase properties directly from sellers off market. Our three main focus points on getting these deals are direct mail, ringless voicemail, and cold calling. We do a lot of cold calling and ringless voicemail, as well as direct mail. And then we sell the properties to investors for all cash or hard money. We do either outgoing calls to the cash buyers. We have an email blast list, a website that we put our deals on. And then, we have a ton of investors constantly reaching out to us for these deals. So a little bit about how we got started. So I attended a personal development event when I was 18. Actually, my brother Diego kind of forced me to go. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but it kind of opened up my eyes to real estate investing, working for yourself, personal development. So I attended a Fortune Builders real estate investing course, and it introduced me to wholesaling. For the past 3 years, I've been a student of real estate wholesaling. I've worked under a lot of real estate wholesalers who were doing it at a large scale to learn everything. In the past 3 years, I've done over 200 real estate transactions. And that's basically what I did. What I would credit a lot to my success is I just went all in and worked for free for my first couple of months, just trying to learn the ins and outs of real estate, basically. And then I was buying a couple of houses earlier last year. I was buying some houses for some foreign investors that I was able to hook up with. And we bought 4 houses that were on the market, and they were his. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how I met Dominic. He owned a couple rentals that he was currently selling, and I bought them with some foreign investors, and we just got to talking. I was asking him about how he was doing his rehabs, what's his game in real estate, and you just want to let them know a little bit about your past.
Yeah. So Gonzalo bought the properties from me, and he says, dude, who does your rehabs? And I've owned a foreclosure maintenance company that I've built over the last 10 plus years. And I just told him I do my own rehabs. He was impressed with the work, and that's kind of how we initially linked up. So I sold him one property, second property, third property, fourth property. So you can understand there's probably multiple meetings inside of all of those transactions. One thing led to another. And yeah, we just, we took a liking into, what we're both into. We were both really fond of real estate. And, we wanted to just get into it further. And we realized that we both had different values. So just to take it back a little bit, over the last 10 plus years, I've built a foreclosure maintenance company that I started really small just in Jacksonville, and I built it to a multi-state corporation. So we wound up growing it to over 8 states, and we were doing upwards of about 60,000 maintenance work orders a year. So we had a lot going on. I built it up to just under 30 employees. We're able to handle lots of transactions. You know, we built systems, processes, things of that sort. Gonzalo had a lot of experience in real estate, a lot of wholesale experience, and we both had a desire. He had a desire to systemize and build the wholesaling business. I had a desire to attain properties via the wholesale method. And so now we're growing our company. We've done probably right around 80 wholesale transactions. 70 of them were just this year. We're just halfway through the year. We're just really getting started. We have a team of 10, 12 of us right now. We're hiring right now. Our processes are getting leaner. Our clients are getting better deals, and we are rocking and rolling.
That's awesome. You know, it's crazy because I remember meeting Gonzalo for the first time at that event, right? I was there, and to see how you've grown in like the short amount of time is awesome, because it just kind of like shows everybody, like, you know, you put in the work, like we were talking about earlier. You got to take, like, as Grant Cardone says, massive fucking action, right? And that's what you did, and you guys partnered up, and you found a good partner too. So you guys are now just going to 10x it. Okay, flood Grant Cardone. But it's so cool to see, like, when people really kind of like step it up and like go from zero to what you guys are doing now, and to, you know, in 3 years to be involved in over 200 deals. It's like, that's freaking really cool. And it just goes to show, you know, if you want it, you go out and find it. And I love that you were like, from the beginning, you were always trying to like seek out, you sought out like mentors, and you found the right people. You even work for free, right, to learn the grounds, and you proved your value, and now you have your own company, and it's thriving, and you're growing, and you have employees. So hats off to you, and that's so cool, and I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you were actually at the first event that kind of just opened up my mind to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. So, so yeah, like Dom said, you know, we're a team of 10. Well, a team of 12, me and Dom, and then 10 are employees. We have everything from an opener who basically all they do is they're the first kind of impression to the sellers, whether it's a yellow letter, a cold call, or a ringless voicemail callback. They kind of take in the first call, and then from that person, it goes on to the underwriter who does the comps on the property, and then we come up with the price on what to offer. From there, it goes to a closer or a field closer, depending on the type of seller. And so we have 3 closers constantly closing deals, basically, so they get the number on what to offer, and they make the offer and negotiate a number that works for the both of us. From there, it goes to the field closer, takes pictures, does the property inspection. After the field closer gets back from the inspection, we do a little property. We call it a PCR form, property condition report, and relay all that information to our disposition side. So we price out the property, and then disposition takes over from there, marketing the property out, putting it on all of our forms of media on how we market our properties. And then it goes to our 2 disposition managers who do all of the sales of the property. They deal with all of our investors, and they handle all of their needs. And then from the dispositionist, it goes over, once we have a signed deal with the buyer, it goes to our transaction coordinator, and they just work with title all day, every day, pushing the deals through, you know, putting out fires that are on the property, liens, whatever it is. And so that's basically kind of like the team. We're very big on systemizing the whole process. Rarely anybody on our team has much real estate experience. So we're really just breaking down every step. That's, you know, what Dom brings a great value to this team, is just breaking down every step from how could anybody do it who's never seen a real estate deal. So that's where most of our day is spent. And it's just training the team and creating a company culture, basically. So that's how we're able to do so many deals and just keep it like clockwork, basically. So our main focus is here in Jacksonville. Jacksonville just happens to be where we met, but it also happens to be a great market right now for real estate investing. we really focus on, kind of what we were saying a little earlier. We really focus on low end income producing properties, working class neighborhoods, C class neighborhoods, and these things bring the best ROI. So we focus on finding inventory for investors who have a strategy of buy and holding, long-term investing, and we're able to do that pretty heavily here in Jacksonville. And the reason why it's so good here in Jacksonville, just because, the purchase price of the property versus the amount that can be charged for rent, it just brings a great ROI. So just a couple examples, and we'll show you some real examples of properties that we just recently sold last month and this month. But properties, that we're currently getting for like 50, 40, 30 grand or less, they can easily bring in 650 to 900 bucks a month. And we'll take care of connecting all of our investors to whoever they need to work with, whether it's a property management company or whatever. And I met you at an event where there was a lot of real estate investors. So when I first started wholesaling, most of my buyers list was out of state. And so the way that I had to get into it was building the team up for them, meeting the property managers for them. And they would fly in and meet the property managers, the brokers, the home inspectors, the people that would do all the work. So I spent the past couple of years, just building a solid team. And not only that, but, my brother and my dad buy a lot of properties off of me. So I had to build the team for them. And so it just worked perfectly because my family's buying and holding, and I just focused on that. And I've been able to build up a great team. I don't do the management or the rehab or anything, but I connect all of my investors with the right people, and it's been working great so far. So
okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you get a deal in contract, and then you probably send it out to the top people on your list that will close first, right? Like these guys have performed, or these guys are like legit. They're not gonna. And then do you guys provide, if it's an out-of-state buyer, will you hook them up with a contractor and get a kind of a detailed scope of work sent over to them with a budget? I mean, how do you handle, like if I'm here in California and you send me a deal and I say, yeah, it looks good, and you're saying, yeah, it's a $30,000 rehab or whatever the number is, are you guys getting bids for us? Or, I mean, I know you guys don't want to do our job, but how can you interact with an out-of-state investor to help us, because that's part of the problem why out-of-state investors' biggest thing is we can't find good property management. We don't, they'll rip us off, and then also, managing the construction process. But since you guys are doing so much volume, I think the couple contractors that you work with, I guess they have a lot of at stake, because if they don't perform for us, then you guys are going to not refer them again, which is, it's not a onesie twosie thing. It's a 100 deal kind of thing.
Correct. So we want to touch
Sure,
on that?
sure. Yeah, that's part of why we have this slide built up here. The different companies that we work alongside with, the title companies, property management companies, rehab and maintenance companies, the real estate brokerage relationship, home inspectors, property insurance providers. We've got all of the right parties in place that already are prepared to help people that are right here in town and people that are outside of Jacksonville, Florida as well. It doesn't matter if it's another city, state, or outside of the U.S. All of the companies that we are interlinked with, that we work with very, very closely, they're very experienced with just unique and creative ways to help people to make the whole process streamlined and efficient and very, very easy. As close to as easy as it can be, as if you were here yourselves.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different points that we can hit on, but if anyone needs any detailed information, anyone is free to give us a call. We'll give you guys contact information at the end of the slideshow as well.
And guys, on the webinar right now, there's you guys can ask questions as we go if you want, and then at the end we can address those questions. And then we will have this on the website after we render it and things, and we'll put the contact information too, so you have it. Let's see here. Here's a question. Let's see here. Okay, so everybody can see it. Good. All right, guys, go ahead. Sorry about that. Just checking to see if we got it right.
Cool.
I can hit on the asset a little bit.
Yeah.
So just to touch a little bit more on the question that you asked, I guess a lot of people can be just very curious on, okay, I see some pictures of a property. I have a price point. I know it needs some work. How do we know whether it's a good investment or not as far as the amount of work it's going to take to get this property in the right shape so that we could either move in a tenant or quickly sell it or something along those lines? It's a really, really good question. It's very important to probably a lot of people that's on this podcast and just in general. Webinar. So we do something that's unique, at least for us. I'm sure there are other companies out there that do similar things, but we provide we can provide what's called an asset inspection form, and where we go around the property and we're really good with picking out almost all detail of repairs that are needed to get the property in livable condition or in good repair condition, depending on what the target is on what to do with that property after it's all fully repaired. So if it's a buy and hold, it's going to be a target to get it in rent ready condition. And if it's something that someone's going to want to flip and make a profit on it, then obviously it's going to be a different condition than just rental ready. So our asset inspection form will give you just real numbers on what people here in Jacksonville will charge and what the end cost would be to the investor for fixing it up as well.
Nice. That's cool. So you guys just use that. Do you guys don't get a formal inspection? You kind of deliver this 1 or 2 pager, gives them like, hey, this is probably what you're going to be spending. And you guys have done it hundreds of times. So I think it's a pretty good guesstimate of where.
Kind of just a pre-game way before getting into having to pay for an professional inspection. Anyone that buys a property is likely to want to have to do a professional inspection as well. These are just estimated costs on what the repairs would be.
And then typically when you guys I know all deals are different, but when you guys are getting them in contract, what's usually the close time you look for? Like, are you writing 10-day closes or are you trying to get 14-day closes? I mean, I guess it depends on the deal, but how do you guys, if you're trying to get an out-of-state investor to buy something, how do you guys try to write the contracts? And then obviously you're signing them, but what's usually the time frame we have to buy these and to get our diligence done on the properties?
Let me take this. Yeah. Okay. So the time frame is going to be flexible. We try to write our initial purchase contracts with enough time to engage with a buyer or an investor so that they have enough time to analyze the deal and to close on it. So likely we do prefer them to be quick with cash. But if we need to take a little bit more time, we're pretty conservative on how we write our end of the contract up so that we have enough time to give to you or others to close on it. So it's not always a stern number of days, but it's likely that it's pretty flexible once you engage with us with real intention to buy a property.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. We've got more slides to go through if we want to touch on more information.
Sure.
Yes,
Please
I
do.
just wanted to give some examples of a couple deals that we've recently sold. So for example, this is a house, 3242 Broadway Ave. We got this house actually through ringless voicemail. So we sold it to an investor for $32,000. It was actually already rented out at $650 a year. $650 a month. Taxes are $536 a year. If you can see from the pics, the place was, great. They put a new roof on it like 3 years prior to selling it. And, it basically net ROI would be 15% or more, depending on how the investor calculates costs. But for that 15%, we calculated taxes, insurance, property management, 10% for repairs, and then vacancy. So that's kind of what we do. And for a couple of our investors, I'm sure a lot of your listeners know Bigger Pockets. So to some of our investors, we provide a detailed ROI printout with the Bigger Pockets calculator.
Mm-hmm.
It shows basically what all the money is going to every month, what's the projected net ROI, what's the gross ROI, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a really good tool that helps us to get on target with the type of numbers that we're displaying to you guys. It's really close or higher than the numbers that we're displaying to you guys pretty frequently. So yeah, it's a really, really great tool for us, and it's helped us with tremendous success.
Yeah. So, and then we have this deal pending right now.
Oh, hold on a sec. Somebody just said that. Can you guys see the? Can you guys just go in the chat and let me know if you can see the screen, the PowerPoint? Whoever's listening. Okay, yes, they can. I can see. Okay, so, oh, somebody texted me and said they couldn't see the screen. Oh, so, okay. Thanks, guys. It scared me for a second, but we just had one false alarm from one of the guys watching.
No worries.
So anyways.
Yeah, so one of the guys, Ernesto, looks like he asked, sounds like you focus mostly on C-class neighborhoods. Do you also have B-class inventory? Cool. So we're going to get to some Q&A later on, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we already have some questions.
Perfect. Awesome.
Somebody said the volume from the guests is varying up and down. So try to maybe stay closer to the mic.
Yeah. Cool. So with that all being said, yeah, so this is one of the deals that we just sold. I'll go into one that we have pending right now. It's actually one of my Australian buyers, and he's Australian, but he lives in the Bahamas, and he's bought around 4 properties off of me now. 2127 Wilson Street, price is $41,900. That's what we're selling it at. The current income right now is $700 a month. It's already rented out on a lease. And, the potential net ROI is 13%. And like I said, in that 13%, we're budgeting for insurance, management, repairs, maintenance, and vacancy. Repairs and maintenance, sorry.
How are, in Jacksonville, how do you guys calculate property taxes? Is it just, like in California, I just use a 1.25 or 1.125 times the purchase price, but every area assesses property taxes differently. I'm wondering how Jacksonville does. And then also, and then we could talk about this after. But then anything else, like, do we need, any other, like, what I don't know about Florida is real estate, like buying properties there, different insurance, and any other things that might be a little bit new to somebody in California.
Yeah. So as far as the taxes are concerned, we just go right to the city of Jacksonville's website and look at the actual taxes. And lots of investors will just calculate a general 3% increase on most expenses each and every year.
Okay. Cool.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah. So I guess so your question was to know a little more about the kinds of things you need to look out for when you're buying properties here in Jacksonville. So do you want to touch a little more on that?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what would be a little different than maybe buying real estate in California. You guys close with title companies. You're not an attorney state.
Correct. We can close with title companies. So I don't know a whole lot about California to do a comparison, but just to give you a little bit of information on what we're heavily involved with is I think one of the questions that we saw that we might have answered later, but we can answer now. But our focus as a company primarily right now is mainly toward buy and hold C-class neighborhood properties. So we're commonly going to come across properties for sale from our company for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and in and around that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
They're buy and hold. They're in working class C-class neighborhoods, like we've said, and they're just good long-term investments for a lot of the investors that are interested in that realm. As far as the comparison, like I said, I'm not really sure about California. I just hear that the prices are sky high, and it scares the living daylights out of me.
But yeah, so we close with title companies. You can close with an attorney. I know that a couple things to look out for. You're definitely gonna want to get home insurance, and then flood insurance are some things that you gotta look close to if you're buying houses on the beach. Not everywhere depending where the house is located, you may not be able to get flood insurance. Those are a couple of the things that I can think of that might be different from other locations. The one good thing that I can say of buying houses, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, just we don't deal with anything with snow, which is good. So we don't got to worry about any of those kind of issues, which is definitely a benefit. So yeah, I mean, Jacksonville, the only thing that I can say that's different about Jacksonville is that it's an old city. So a lot of houses that we're coming across they're old houses. And when I say old, I just mean, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s type houses. So the good thing about these houses is that a lot of time they've been remodeled over the years, and the potential is really good, just because since these houses are old, there's a lot of what I call haji-paji neighborhoods.
Value add.
Yeah, just a lot of potential for value add in certain neighborhoods. So you can take a house that's old and deteriorated and just do a full rehab on it. And there's a lot of places right now where there's one house down the street that's completely, fallen down, and then 3 houses all next door are brand new construction in these C-class neighborhoods.
So sorry I cut you off, but so if we're looking at 2127 Wilson Street here, the investor's buy price is $41,900. Now this property wouldn't be a good flip property, but it'd be a better buy and hold, correct?
Correct.
So how much, this is a pending, so how much work does this house need to get it rent ready?
To get it rent ready is 0.
Okay, so it's a turnkey, essentially.
Yeah, it's a turnkey kind of thing. The current owner bought it in 2014 and did a full rehab on it. He put a new roof, new windows, new kitchen, everything, and just kind of held on to it for a while. And he actually lives, so he put a tenant in it. It's been a rental, but he actually lives in Vegas. So he's selling all his stuff here in Jacksonville. And so we were able to find him through direct mail. And so this is basically like a turnkey deal. It's a concrete block property. So this is actually, a good rental property. I would say that this house is, I'll be straight up. This house is probably worth on the market right now somewhere between 45 to 50,000, as is. So, there's decent amount of equity, but the cash flow is just insane.
Got it. So,
yes.
so for this one, using this as an example, you would send this out with your 1 or 2 pager that, so we'd get the idea that the roof's been replaced in the last 3 years. And is that how you guys kind of operate with your investors? So they know, they get the property inspection report from you guys, and then they'll know the general condition. And then, if it looks good, they'll go out and buy it. Might do a quick home inspection before they close on it.
Yeah. I mean, we usually take around 60 to 70 pictures of every property that we go out to. We take very detailed pictures. We do the asset inspection form when needed. We don't do it every time. Sometimes we'll just get a general idea in cases like this. You know what I'm saying? When it just doesn't need much. or anything at all. This will just give a summary of the property, and then if the house needs a decent amount of work, then we'll go into getting some estimates and stuff like that. But
what's the ratio of, sorry, I had some feedback. What's the ratio of houses that you guys can wholesale that are good flips versus rental?
That's a great question. I mean, what would you say? I'd say like,
for our inventory that we target, we mainly target buy and hold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah.
Yeah, I'd say really
10% can be flip potential. The
And
rest
then-
is buy and hold, because that's what we market to get.
Do you guys have your, I'm trying to think, I have feedback now. Did you guys turn something on or something?
No, we didn't. Are we still okay?
Yeah, you're okay. I just, when I'm talking, I hear it in my headphones now and I didn't before, but that's okay. And then, so do you guys all get B class properties as well, like a little nicer, but obviously the return to the investor's not as good because they're paying a higher purchase price versus the rent to price ratio. Obviously the lower end stuff cash flows more, but somebody was interested. Do you get higher end houses too?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say a lot of our inventory is in the $50,000 range to below. But right now we're in the middle of selling 2 houses that are in great neighborhoods, B class areas, one for $85,000 and one for $82,000, and they're rented out for $850, and the others rented out for $875. And these are, fully rehab kind of turnkey properties as well, but in a way better neighborhood, way better area. Not that these areas are bad, just, different class area. So we definitely run across those. But like I said, we do run across houses in better areas, but still mainly rental type properties.
Cool. I'm just trying to turn my mic down. Okay. We also had
Can you hear me? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Jason asked, do they provide estimates for that? Yes, they addressed it earlier. They have a 1-page checklist of things that need to be fixed, and with an estimate for those items needing to be fixed. And then Ernesto asked, the case studies that you provided, are those turnkey, or was that the sales price to the end buyer? So the last one we looked at was turnkey. It was rent ready.
Yeah. So for these are quick. So this one was already rented out. So this is actually current income, 700, and the price that we sold it at was with the tenant already in place, on a yearly lease.
And that was to the end buyer.
Same thing. Yeah, that was to the end buyer. Same thing with this one. It was already rented out. This one was actually, it's funny, this one was actually already managed by one of the property management companies that we recommend. So it just fit right into our investors model. And we sold it at $32,000, and it was already bringing in $650 a month. So this is already in place. Not all of them are like that, but these just happen to be a couple examples that are like that. And we do run into it quite often.
So if we call you and we want to get on your list, and let's say you get a property, you send an email to us, and it's just like a high level overview, purchase price to you, estimated repair cost, 2,000, estimated ARV X. And then you also, do you include that document with the estimated repairs in that with a Dropbox full of 30 or 40 pictures? Is that kind of how to work with you guys? You'll just we'll get on your email list and then you'll send it out.
Yeah. So basically you can go to our website. investrla.com is our website. That's where all of our deals are. And on the website, you can also sign up to be on our buyers list. And you can also email our dispositionist. Her name is Marisol, and that's her email right there on the slide. And that's the phone number to the office if you want to get on the list or if you have any questions about the properties. But to answer your question, basically, we send out an email with it, and then in the email is the pictures link, and then we attach what we call a PCR. So it's not the bid estimate, but it's a detailed report about the house. So it basically a summary of what you would need to estimate out. And then depending on the investor that is interested in buying it, then we'll go and get an estimate if it's necessary for the investor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. I think we'll do some Q&A now.
Yeah.
For a little bit here. So it sounds like direct mail to an absentee owner list is working for you pretty well. Is that who you typically target?
Direct mail, yep. Direct mail and absentee owners.
And then are you guys using like Call Reel or that slide broadcast for your ringless voicemails? So I'm thinking about doing that in Indiana.
Yeah. So we're using slide broadcast.
Nice. And kind of give me an example of what your message is, or unless it's proprietary, you don't have to.
No, I'll just send you the bill later. But
okay.
No, it's not good. So it's actually dumb. Tell them what you said.
Shoot, we're testing out so many different aspects of marketing and messages. So as far as the ringless voicemail, if I remember exactly correctly, it's probably something like, hey, my name is Dominic. I just looked up your property on the city records online and saw you owned an additional house here in town. And I just wanted to give you a call to see if you would consider allowing me to give you an offer to purchase it. Just something straightforward, simple, trustworthy, no beating around the bush, nothing too salesy. Just, direct person to person. I just want to see if you would allow me to give you an offer.
Are you guys doing SMS stuff like text message too, or do you find ringless better than the text messaging?
So we don't really do a ton of direct text messaging. Once in a while when we're communicating with potential sellers, we'll engage in text messaging. We don't do a whole lot of blasting or anything like that. We hadn't really gotten into that yet. Got to look a little bit into the law behind it before doing that. But as far as the ringless voicemail, we're heavily involved into that, into just giving them a direct call to ask or the direct mail. Those are the three outlets that we're heavily focusing on.
Okay, another question we had come up from Jay. He says, do they have crews that they can work with and manage the rehabs? If yes, what are the costs? So Jay, I can answer part of that is that they do not, it's not their companies, but they have a couple recommended or preferred contractors. And probably what they'll do is that they would probably give them the key code to get in the house and say, hey, can you bid this out for us? And then might get you two quotes from two different contractors and give you a time frame and timelines. And then it's up to you to negotiate the contract with the contractor, because it's a third party. They're just adding a additional service to their investors. Is that kind of how it works, guys?
Yeah, Beau, you hit the nail right on the head with that. You're pretty much almost exactly right. And even after this webinar, what we're going to do is we're going to compile a list of the management companies, rehab companies, insurance companies, property management, all that stuff. And we'll send it to you, and you can send it out to whoever you need to send it out to, or to everyone is fine. We'll give you names, phone numbers, email addresses of all the people and companies that we work directly and closely with.
Yeah, and that also helps, because what I found is if you go into a new market and you don't know anybody and you're buying one house, that's when you really kind of get screwed, versus like, I always say there's strength in numbers. So, if they know that we're buying something from you and you guys kind of, you guys want us to buy multiple properties from you, not just one, you want us to be a lifelong customer. So you want to delight us as the customer. So I think that definitely helps. And then also, if you're referring people to property management companies and all of a sudden they're dropping the ball and you take your 100 investors or 50 investors to another property management company, they're going to lose a lot of money versus the onesie-twosie. So it's kind of like kind of a no-brainer kind of way I would look at it. Like, this is why this system works a little bit better. But since you're buying in C-class areas, what's the ratio that Section 8 versus just typically kind of blue collar, renter? I mean, not that Section 8 is bad, because some people prefer Section 8. I'm just wondering what do you see on these kind of lower end properties? Is it 50-50, or is it mostly 70% working class?
I believe it's close to 50-50.
Yeah, so I'll answer that. With my, as I mentioned earlier, with my brother and my dad have a solid portfolio here in Jacksonville that I've helped them build. We also, Dom and I, we help manage a foreign portfolio, or a portfolio for foreign investors. So we have overseen, and we continuously oversee about 30 properties that are all in these neighborhoods, C-class neighborhoods. And I would say 50 to 60% are just regular, blue collar workers. And then the rest, I would say 40 to 50% Section 8. And so, with Section 8, we generally, when we do our turns, we get them ready for the general public. And then if it's a Section 8 tenant, Section 8 inspector will come, let us know the small tweaks that we got to make. And then we'll adjust if needed. So just directly from my dad's and my brother's portfolio, we have about 9 doors, and I would say three of them are Section 8. And I think it has to do a lot with the immediate area as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of small pockets that are really decent areas. So there'll be small B type immediate neighborhoods surrounded by a C kind of area. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So those are mainly, just hardworking individuals that just live in those areas. And then in other pockets, we have a duplex that is always Section 8. It's just always Section 8, just because of the pocket that we bought it in. So it varies like that as well.
Yeah, I always try to find, like, in older housing stock where there's some areas where it's getting revitalized, it's getting gentrified. So I'm sure that's happening again now with Jacksonville's growth and the economy being so strong, that a lot of these areas that were lower economic areas now are starting to get revitalized, because there's a lot of investors and there's a lot of buyers that are like, hey, I can buy here versus rent where I really want to live, but these areas are transforming. And I always, as an investor, if I'm looking to buy and hold or flip, I like those areas, obviously, to find those pockets that you can still buy cheap, and the rent to price is awesome. Can you also touch on the job growth there? Like, I know you guys were rated, I'm looking at a Forbes article, you guys were rated number 7 best city for future job growth. And then number 5 in 2017, you were rated number 5 in America's fastest growing cities. So can you kind of touch on, like, why there's so much growth? What's going on? Like, what kind of, I know in general, our real estate economies, obviously we're rebounding right now and it's booming, but what's really driving your economy there?
Yeah. So you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, in short, yeah, there's a lot going on in Jacksonville. It just feels like a lot of people are attracted to live in Florida in a general sense, and in a very affordable city that's up and coming. Jacksonville is that. Some of the bigger companies that are building big sites here in Jacksonville, Amazon has built 2 huge distribution centers here in Jacksonville, Florida. General Electric has built a huge working site here in Jacksonville to bring in thousands of employees. Citigroup has a very large campus here in Jacksonville. Just a lot going on, a lot of jobs, a lot of growth. Yeah, so that's it in short. So just we're becoming the next, or have been becoming the next big major city in Jacksonville. And with all that growth, that's why these C-class neighborhoods are very, very attractive, because the economy is stimulated, real estate is rebounding, and the prices are on the rapid rise. I think that people know that they can get into very affordable assets, and they're just going to be paid back multiple fold in the long run. So, I mean, if you can get them at this price, it's just not going to last forever the way the economy is growing right now. So we're seeing lots of people attracted to, I mean, there are people that are moving into Jacksonville from Israel, from New York, from California, people that are calling us from overseas, things of that sort. It's almost surreal the way I'm explaining it, but it's all very, very real, very, very true. And we're on the Forbes list for a reason, you know, as far as job growth. And I think, you know, this is not going to be, this might not be 100% accurate. I think it was 2 years ago, Jacksonville was either number 1 or number 2 in real estate investment opportunities. There was some type of list for Forbes.
Yeah, you guys, in 2017, I have it right here because I did my little bit of homework.
Oh, good. What you got?
Number 1 hottest real estate market to watch in 2017. That was a article.
There you go. So yeah. I mean, those lists just show you the potential that's here and the way that the city is growing and what direction we're heading.
Yeah, population and, you know, population growth and job growth. That's always a good sign, right? Another question real quick, guys, is sometimes we've had problems on the West Coast, like title companies don't like to insure properties that are like, some are finicky about assigned contracts. Do you guys have any problems with your title companies? I'm sure you have preferred title companies that you've worked with, so that's how you kind of navigate those areas, because you're not, you guys typically aren't doing a double close, or you're just typically assigning the contract, correct?
So over there, do you guys, you know, I apologize, I don't really know, but do you guys use title company or?
Yeah, we're title and escrow. And so in Northern California, it's typically the same title and escrow company in-house. And then Southern California doesn't, it's usually separated. There's a title and an escrow company. Gotcha. And with you guys, I think you're more like us in Northern California. You have title and escrow with one, you just do it right through, you know, First right. American Title or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, so we haven't really, you know, ran into a lot of title companies that don't assign. We've ran into a couple sellers that want to close with their attorney, with their real estate attorney, and we can still do that. Mm-hmm. But those attorneys sometimes don't do assignments. But we've had good luck. Most all the title companies that we've run into, they all do assignments. Some of them do double closing, simultaneous closings, and then some of them do simultaneous closings with you having to put up the funds first, and then other title companies that we have close relationships with let us buy the properties using the end buyer's funds. So we do a little bit of both. We do assignments and double closings at the same time with end buyer funds.
And also, yeah, as far as flood insurance, there's only certain areas that you need flood insurance. It's not all of Jacksonville, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it's just like it is anywhere. So
it's close to a body of water.
Yeah,
there could be a case where it calls for flood insurance.
Yeah. So somebody asked that, and then they also hurricane insurance or natural. Like, is it typical that people get hurricane insurance in that part of Florida, or is it not? Not really.
It's not required, from what I understand, in any area that I've seen, but it's just based on someone's taste for risk. I don't think my wife and I have flood insurance on our own home or any of our rental properties that we personally have. I don't know if you have it or
we do not know.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, it just seems that, this is not spot on, but it just seems that hurricanes always kind of, and I don't know if anyone should base their decision on this. It seems like they always kind of wrap closely to, but around Jacksonville, with the way the jet stream comes from the east. I sound like a meteorologist now. But it kind of comes across down and wraps around Jacksonville, Florida. So when the hurricanes come up, it always just seems to veer off the coast and miss us. I mean, we get high winds from it, things of that sort. We do get damage. There's been a lot of damage close to us, so I'm not trying to mislead anybody by any means. And, there's been lots of damage in Jacksonville as well. But that's just my sick way of making sense of not having hurricane insurance for myself.
And it seems like a lot of your construction in the neighborhoods you're finding the deals, it's a lot of concrete block construction. It's an old military town, is that why, or is it just how they were building? I can't remember.
I would say there's a fair mixture.
Yeah, there's a good mixture of it. So not all of them are concrete block. But we, obviously some investors prefer concrete block properties, depending on the neighborhoods that they're in. Some investors prefer wood frame houses just because most of the time they're easier to get under. They have most of the time wood frame houses have the
crawl space. Yeah.
It's easier to remove and replace.
It's easier to do stuff under the house. So it just depends, but we've seen, I wouldn't say that there's more block houses or more wood houses. I would say it's a mixture of everything. There's a lot of brick houses too. Just depends on the type of neighborhood that you're in.
And what kind of fees do your property managers charge on the lower end house? Are they at 8 or are they at 10% typically, or what are they?
They're typically at 10%.
Okay.
Yep. And then depending on the amount of properties that you have, they will fluctuate.
Yeah.
On pricing, depending on how many you have under management with them.
Got it. That makes sense. I think that's we've done a good job, a good overview. Let me see. Yeah, I think we kind of answered all the questions. So what I'm going to do is, after I render this, you guys are going to email me the list of your vendors that you use. So the people in our local RIA can kind of start doing a little bit of due diligence on the area. They can also reach out to you and ask questions. Don't inundate them with questions, guys. Just, yeah, we can definitely get that up in the next day or two when you guys send the list, and then yeah, they can contact you, and you guys can start looking at deals and know what you're getting in. Obviously, guys us in California, or whoever's listening, it could be people not in California, but always do due diligence, because it's
Yes.
You're going to own an asset far away. You got to know what you're buying. You got to know how to deal with real estate, because older houses sometimes do have issues, right? And so you got to know the conditions. So I always advise getting inspections, and just, be careful, because at the end of the day, you're going to own the asset, and you gotta know, when tenants move out, there's turnover, and the idea is to kind of factor that in. And that's why, the Bigger Pockets has a good rental calculator. Just kind of know, what you're getting into. And at these prices, I think it's a good place. It's a good place to kind of cut your teeth if you haven't bought rentals. It's also a good place to stay if you want, in the lower end, because you're getting a higher cash flow. I mean, you guys are basically getting, everybody talks about the 1% rule, right? If you spend $40,000, you should get at least 400. Well, you're getting 1.5 to 2% on your assets, which is good, right? It's better than the average. So people are there in Jacksonville, and it's looks like definitely a good market. I definitely want to come out there and check it out. But I'm going to let you guys go, because you guys answered all our questions, and
Awesome.
I appreciate
I just want to,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did see a question earlier. Someone asked if we do small multifamily
Oh yeah, I missed that one. All right.
all the time.
Yeah.
We've sold countless of duplexes and triplexes and quads.
They do go quick.
And they do go quick. So we definitely, we're not too big into big multifamily kind of apartment buildings and stuff like that, we come across them, and we have a close relationship with somebody, you know, who does the more commercial type multifamily, but we deal with mainly like 8 plexes and less.
Cool. Cool.
Yep.
I think
Cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, we look forward to seeing some more deals, and then also I have a Facebook group, so you guys should post some of your deals once in a while just to stay in front of people. I think I've got 7,500 people in that group just because, you know, we got lots of people that are looking for good opportunities, and you guys are finding some. So, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for coming on. My first, my first Zoom webinar. We didn't screw it up too bad.
Thanks for having us, Beau. We appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Bye. Okay.